This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this will be like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, leave a rating and a brief written review. It will enable other excellent people just like you to be able to locate this podcast. I hope you're having a great day today. I want to talk to you about determination or making up your mind. You have just got to decide, and then deciding, a lot of choices come for you. They are already made, as it were, pre-made. How are you in your determination? Do you have a made-up mind? Are you determined? You know, a lot of people that today are considered very successful had many, many setbacks. Bill Gates' first business failed before he launched Microsoft. Winston Churchill failed in school, failed in elections, until at the age of 62 he finally won. We all know the story of Abraham Lincoln. Lost nearly everything he ran for until he became president of the United States. The famous Sony company really started as a rice cooker company, and it failed. But Akio Morita pushed on to make the company successful. Teachers told Thomas Edison that he was stupid, and after 1,000 unsuccessful attempts, he finally invented the light bulb. You know, great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance, said Dr. Samuel Johnson. A lot of times the most talented people will give up when they meet resistance, when things don't go the way they want it to, and they just can't handle it. But if there's any one quality that you must possess, my friend, if you're going to be in leadership, whether that's leading in your home, your not-for-profit, your church, your business, is you just have to persevere. Life is not always going to go your way. The wind will not always be at your back. Amidst all the successes that people enjoy, you look at whoever it is that you would consider to be a success. I can guarantee you, and I mean I guarantee you, there were some failures, some missteps, some mid-course corrections. Things did not always go their way. So how can you and I become more determined in our life and then carry that over into the areas where we lead, including leading ourselves? Well, the first, you have to know what your mission. What is your purpose? Do you have a divine purpose, and do you know where you're going? And if you don't, if you're a person of faith, I'd make that a matter of soul searching and prayer and study. I would sit down and I would begin to write out the things that really matter to me. Why am I here? What is my purpose in living? And how do I propose that my life will impact those around? Don't forget those closest to you. This is not just a financial statement, a business statement. How are you doing in your relationships, including your most important relationships at home with your spouse, your children, your grandchildren? Do you know what your mission is? To not only impact the world, but to impact the world, you have to begin by making a major impact right there in your own home. Define what your purpose is. That will keep you going when those days when you're utterly dismayed and discouraged. If you can reference back to, here's my purpose, here's why I believe I must do what I am doing, that will hold you steady and keep you moving forward. Now, often many of us think that we're working this all by ourselves, but all of us need someone. Many of us work in teams. You either are on staff with someone, you work somewhere, you're in a home, you have a friend, they're somewhere, and do you know them and appreciate them and realize the absolute contributions that they're making to your team, to your life, and even to your purpose and your mission? Just not only know yourself, but you need to know all of those that you're working with, you live life with. One of the other things that will keep your determination going will help you just to make up your mind and decide and move forward. A lot of folks are floating generalities. They've never really made a decision of who they are and what they are going to be about. So there are lots of good things to be involved with, not just bad things, but lots of excellent things. But you and I are limited in time, talent, treasure, all of those sorts of things. So you cannot do everything. So you have to prioritize. And prioritizing is very important when a crisis happens. You have to know what can be let go of and what cannot. You have to figure out what is most important. And I'll tell you when that really becomes a reality in your life is when the chips are down, when there are problems, when things are not going your way. Know your strength. Know what you can and know what you can't do. Make sure you understand what it is that you're doing. Oftentimes, regardless of the position someone has, folks will laugh at the little joke that 70% of what I do anyone could do, but it's that 20 to 30%. That's why I get paid. You are where you are for a reason. What are your strengths that brought you there? Get people to help you with your weaknesses. I guess I would also flip over that coin and say you need to be aware of what your weaknesses are. I'm sitting in a lot of interviews, and it's really amazing to me that most candidates can quickly identify their strengths. They stumble as if many times they didn't even know the question was coming when they're asked to define their weakness. A couple of people have beaten around the barn to the point that I almost have come to this paraphrase of their weaknesses. It's almost as if they're saying, you know, my really true weakness is I really don't have any. Know yourself. No one can do everything well. It's not a deficiency. It's not anything lacking in you. No one person can do everything. Bring people around, though, who can help you manage and work on those things where you are not as proficient in. You have to stay on the task and the target. It's so easy when the world seems to be coming apart and crises of every sort and description are all around us and everyone begins to run around and with throwing their hands up into the air wondering how are we going to make it, what are we going to do, how are we going to get through all of these things. But you have to, in the midst of that, keep your head, always remember why you are in fact doing what you're doing, but stay on task, stay on mission would even be better. And even in calamity and crisis and all of that that's going on, don't lose sight that there are still things you can do even when things seem to be coming apart at the seams. There are still steps you can take, actions you can participate in that will continue to move you toward your mission. Another way to be determined and just to say, I've made up my mind, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do, will also give you a time to evaluate because life changes. You have to be able to pivot and to turn, especially when a new or better opportunity presents itself. I'm not talking about a new job. I'm talking perhaps about a new way of doing something. You have to, as you have made up your mind, be able to evaluate. Figure out what is working and what's not working. There is in many organizations, everyone knows that what they are presently doing is not working, but no one will have the courage to say it's not working. It doesn't mean that we're failures. It doesn't mean that we are idiots. It just means oftentimes methodologies of the past do not work today. It doesn't change your mission. It doesn't change who you are. You just have to evaluate what's working, what's not working, and let's make the corresponding adjustments. Even in the midst of when things are going wrong or there are crises and all of those things, celebrate the victory. Celebrate that your mission is moving forward and you are accomplishing more than maybe anyone has really stopped to realize. Leaders gain perspective on resistance, because to all change, all things that are happening, even when things are going poorly, that there's just sort of a drag, a resistance. It's a law of nature. You know, if you drag something small along, it doesn't create much friction. But if you're trying to move a large object, there can be a lot of resistance and a lot of energy required to propel them. But with the right perspective, you can realize that not all resistance is negative. Some pushback, especially from those who know, who you have trust in their competency and you know them as good people, they can kind of have a little bit of effect. They can highlight to you particular aspects that may need to be adjusted. Now, one of the things that happens in leadership, it can feel very lonely. At the end of the day, after you've taken all of the inputs, you've listened to everyone's observations and opinions, there usually is still one who is tasked with ultimately making that decision. Now, if that is you, if you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, or a leader at work, or in a not-for-profit, you still have to get input and direction and some ideas from others. It is lonely to be the one, that is true, who has to make that decision, but never just rely on yourself and never make decisions in a vacuum. Seek the input from people who are going to be affected by the changes. Receive input from those who are going to be a part of the team that makes it happen if it's going to happen. Just make up your mind, regardless of what's happening in your world today, that you're going to have determination, that you're going to persevere, that you're going to keep going, and you're going to keep moving ahead. You see, you have to have a clear vision of what that preferred future for yourself, your organization, your family is. Even if no one else around you can see it very well today, you must never lose sight of it. Never forget, as the leader, you are the chief encourager. It's your job to help encourage your family. I know it would be great if people would come along and encourage us, and I believe there will be people who will come along and who will do that. But don't wait for others to do it. You go around to all of those you have influence with, and you begin to encourage them. And you'll tell them, we're heading in the right direction. And a part of that encouragement, though it's often seen as negative, is you can kind of help steer people who are veering off into the wrong direction. The other thing as a leader that you must have is courage. A lot of folks believe that this is an innate talent or ability that you are born with. I have the idea that courage is much like a muscle. You have to develop it. I don't know that many are born very courageous. But what you have to do is you're going to have to, if you're going to do the things you need to do, you're going to have tough conversations. You're going to have to tell the truth about things, even when it's not going to be well received. Determination and perseverance are what really may truly define a leader above nearly every other characteristic. Have you made up your mind? Have you decided? And then once deciding, you're going to persevere no matter what. There's a Japanese proverb that I heard years ago that I really like. It says, fall 7 times, stand up 8. Regardless of how many times you fall, how many times you go down, get back up. It was the immortal football coach Vince Lombardi of the Green Bay Packer fame who said there's only one way to succeed in anything, and that is to give it everything. If what you're doing is worth giving a big chunk of your life to, then don't do it halfway or half-hearted or go through the motions. Give it everything you have. I remember a quote from Winston Churchill during the World War II era when it looked that his country may be defeated. And someone said that Great Britain is going through hell right now. And here's what Winston Churchill said: if you're going through hell, keep going. Don't stop. So if it seems like you're in a tough spot, it's awful where you are right now, whatever you do, don't stop. Screw up your determination and your courage and keep going. You see, some people just sit around and dream about being successful and reaching their goals, while others wake up and you have to work hard at it. There's a reason they call work work, and that's because at the end of the day, it is exactly that, work. It was William Feather who said, "Success seems to be a matter of hanging on when others have let go." My advice to you today is determination. When I was in Sunday school years ago as a boy, we used to sing songs like, "I have decided to follow Jesus. I am determined. I've made up my mind, no turning back." And just as that's important in the world of faith, that you just have to make a decision, I can't think of any other way in life where it isn't vitally important. And if you have agreed to do something, if you have accepted a job and you receive the paycheck, then you just need to be determined until you are moved somewhere else or you decide to do something else. You need to give it your all and to be the best you can be right where you are. Be determined to be determined. Persevere. Hang up. My friend, today it is too soon to give up. Keep moving forward. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this was like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, would you subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom? Leave a rating and a brief written review. It will help other excellent people like you discover this podcast. Remember, my leadership friend, you are doing better than you think you are. You really are, and it's way too soon to quit. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying, have a great and blessed day.